hopefully the waterways clear up in the near future, because we're going to have some heat.
I know. I think it's going to really be heating up here. The Mississippi guy is not complaining here. Maybe even not the St. Louis guy, but I think a lot of Northeast Ohioans are going to be refreshed once we get into this time next week, and we're going to need it in a major way here. It's going to be nice and cool and refreshing overnight tonight. Look at that. We're just kind of bob up and down into the 60s. I think we'll sprinkle in some 50s here across the area tonight as well. Winds will also be calming down overnight tonight. As I told you at the top of the broadcast, we're likely going to be factoring just a wee bit of fog. It's not going to be sort of really high or at least wide, dense fog we're expecting overnight. But again, some patchy areas will be filling back in. And this is all going to be sort of reminiscent with some of the isolated showers and pop-ups that we had earlier this afternoon. We do have a complex of storms beginning to move closer to the Chicagoland area right now. I think much of that activity is sort of waned by the time it moves into the Buckeye State here, but we're still going to be watching that, at least for some early morning sprinkles to move through early tomorrow morning into the afternoon hours. We'll also have another little complex that's coming right across the lake right now. We'll likely see a little bit of a light show here and maybe even a couple quick downpours in downtown Cleveland before we dry things off. This is riding right along that trough of low pressure that we've been talking about, building through the portions of the lower 48 that has really been sort of guiding the weather story across the lower 48 for the past 2 to 3 weeks. A lot of triple-digit heat down south, a lot of elevated heat index values, and that is likely to edge even farther east once we get into middle to portion of late next week. So this heat dome right now is just going to crawl just a few more states over towards the east, and that'll likely bump up our mild conditions into the warm, even warmer sector. Some 50s again, as I said before, moving back in overnight tonight. We'll likely have mid to low 60s along the lakeshore region, Akron, Canton, perhaps even moving up towards Lake Geauga County overnight tonight. Because we're going to have some of those afternoon garden variety pop-up showers and thunderstorms, some areas will get a less rainfall once we move into Sunday evening into the overnight, and also some will get a little bit more here. I think all in all, we'll stay below that inch threshold for us once we get into Monday. As a result, we'll keep our rain chances fairly low through the rest of the week here. That pattern really sort of stays the same until we start to get another strong frontal boundary moving in next Friday into Saturday. So in short order, here's your National Zymart forecast through the early hours for us on Sunday. I think once we hit past the noon hour, we'll start to see the radar pop just a little bit. I think the Guardians will be okay once they get the first pitch roughly around 1:40 tomorrow afternoon. And these are going to be quickly moving storms here. So they're not going to really, and I use storms very loosely. It's probably just going to be quick downpours here and there, even some moderate rainfall. But again, they're going to be quickly moving in and out, and then the sun will come back out, and then the clouds will move back in, and then we'll likely be making our way towards Monday as well. We begin Monday in the 60s here and into the afternoon, start to get that warm front moving back in, west-southwest winds, elevating our temperatures into the mid-80s for us on Monday, and we spike even higher once we get into Tuesday of next week. Even by Wednesday, much of the country is going to be enduring above average surface temperatures. That is not to say that heat index values will also not be running high, because they'll be running high as well. Quickly to the tropics right now, we still have Don, which is a Category 1 hurricane, beginning to move into the northeastern Atlantic, so that'll move into cooler waters and then downgrade. And then we're also watching this other complex of storm systems happening in the southern Atlantic, moving closer to the Lesser Antilles. That'll likely happen Tuesday into Wednesday, and we'll likely see these numbers go up in terms of it becoming maybe even a tropical depression by Tuesday, Wednesday of next week. This is prime real estate for any sort of tropical cyclones to be growing, metastasizing, gaining strength once it moves into the Caribbean as well as the Gulf of Mexico. Here is where it's going to be this breeding ground, and we're going to be watching this as we move towards peak Atlantic hurricane season for 2023. That is in mid to late August, heading in towards September. So here's that Union Home Mortgage 10. Things really heating up. Once we get past Tuesday, by Wednesday, we're knocking on the door of 90 degrees, moving into the mid to low 90s for several areas by Thursday and Friday. And then that stronger cold front arrives towards the end of the work week, and that'll take us back down into the low 80s, albeit though with some rain chances here and there, Neil.
All right, the 3 News Weather Department's got a busy week ahead of them, Jason.
Yes,
thank you.